So I'm recalling the first time I ever saw an African-American woman on the bench. I was in my third year of law school at Santa Clara University, and Judge Pichon came to speak to us, and I was floored. She was beautiful, she was intelligent, and she was a judge. I never knew that it was possible for me to be a judge until I saw her. And even being a lawyer was a stretch because my counselor told me, pick something more reasonable. I don't think she didn't believe in me, but I don't think she wanted me to be disappointed. So she told me to be reasonable. Well, I was unreasonable, and I was unreasonable until I made it to the bench. So if you're out there, dare to be unreasonable in your dreams. But once I got it in my mind that it was possible, that's when it became true, because once you can see it, you can become it. So that's why I do what I do. I open my courtroom to all kinds of schools and after-school programs. I want little girls and little boys of every race and every ethnicity to come and see that they can sit where I sit. I once had a little girl come in with pigtails, the way I used to wear my hair when I was little, and she said, "Your hair looks like mine." And I said, "It does. And you can sit in this seat." So I want to encourage all young people of color, of any socioeconomic background, no matter what, that if you stick to your dreams, you can do this. So I let them sit in my chair when they come. I let them come into my chambers. I let them bang the gavel. It's important to see yourself in these positions. So Judge Pichon, thank you for being that role model for me. And I hope that I am that role model for others.
My great-grandfather came to the United States through the Bracero movement during the labor shortage because of World War II. He fulfilled his promise to work and return to Mexico when his work contract was over. My great-grandfather encouraged my parents to move to the United States to seek the American dream. My parents were teenagers with limited education and limited English-speaking skills. I'm a first-generation student and first-generation Mexican-American. My story and my family's story is not unique in California, which is why it is important to share my story. When I speak out in the community, I proudly call myself the daughter of a gardener, although my father is now retired, because it demonstrates what is possible with hard work, support, and opportunities. I was in law school the first time I saw a Latinx lawyer. By then I was married and expecting my first child. After law school, I was one of the handful of Latinx attorneys practicing in federal court for the Central District of California. This is why it is important to do community outreach, and this is why it is so important to me. In 2012, I became the third Latina to serve on the Orange County Superior Court bench. I grew up in the community that I now serve. I am Judge Elizabeth Guerrero Macias.
The bedrock of a healthy democracy is engaging in a diversity of ideas and including the diversity of lived experiences. The judiciary increases public confidence when it reflects the communities it serves. It is vital that people from underrepresented communities apply for judicial appointment or think about running for election in order to continue building upon the tapestry of diversity reflected in our California judiciary. I was first to college in my family, and I struggled financially to put myself through school. Because I was outed as a high schooler, I could not live in the family home for a period of time and experienced homelessness. My path here was not easy, nor was it traditional. I share this with you because I want you to feel empowered to shatter the barriers, internal and external, and dream big. I am a proud member of the LGBTQ+ and Latinx communities. Soy la jueza Jessica Delgado. I am Judge Jessica Delgado.
I truly believe that is so important to have judges of different ethnicities, colors, different backgrounds, sexual orientations on the bench. We all bring a different perspective to the bench from our past professional and personal experiences. And that is so important that we have that so that people who are in front of us have faith and confidence in us. As I stated, we all come from different backgrounds. We make different decisions, but it's so important that we use those personal experiences when we make those decisions when people are in front of us. Also, it's so very important. There are certain groups historically who believed that they weren't treated fairly in court based upon the color of their skin. I know that when certain people come in front of me, at least they know that I'm going to be judged based upon the facts and not the color of their skin. And that helps them to have more faith in our justice system. So I truly believe it's so very important that we have a bench that reflects the diversity of our great state of California. I am Judge Roderick Shelton.
Hello, my name is Sunshine Sykes. I am a member of the Navajo Nation. My clan is Maidashkisni, which means Coyote Pass clan. I was born in Tuba City, Arizona on the Navajo reservation. My family, my mother and my grandmother still live there on the reservation. As a young child, I was taught that as a Navajo woman, I had a lot of responsibility to uphold. My mother and my grandmother taught me the importance of the Navajo culture, our traditions, our clan, and our family. My grandparents taught me the importance of words. They would tell me that words had power and should be used carefully. My grandmothers taught me to be gentle, to be kind, to be respectful, to be patient, to be forgiving, to be calm, to be fair, to be honest, and to be just. They taught me all of these things through our stories and through our traditions. This is who I am, and this is what I bring with me and carry with me to the bench. I am Judge Sunshine Sykes.
Hello, I am a second-generation American who grew up in a small, rural farm worker community in the central San Joaquin Valley, alongside 8 siblings, each of whom at some point worked in the fields with my parents in order to help the family make ends meet. Now, my story is not much different from many first and second generation Latinos growing up in the San Joaquin Valley, except that I went on to college and law school, and I became a lawyer and then a trial judge. And now, the first ever Latino justice to serve on the 5th District Court of Appeal. So there is a pathway for anyone with the dedication and determination to do it. In the inspirational words of Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez, a phrase I learned and embraced back when I first started college in the early 1970s, Sí se puede. Yes, we can. I am Associate Justice Rosendo Peña Jr.
Having a judiciary that reflects the richness of different communities will foster greater public confidence in the judiciary. Bringing a range of experiences and perspectives allow judges to make better informed decisions and increases public confidence in their rulings. My family and I fled by boat to America after the fall of Saigon in 1975. As a refugee from Vietnam, I was raised in an immigrant family where I learned English as a second language and struggled in many aspects in my life, including financial. In growing up in East San Jose, and surrounded by people from all walks of life in my neighborhood, I understand firsthand the hardships faced by the underprivileged communities, the feeling of being an outsider and working towards a better life. And what has stayed with me all these years and resonated within me is the importance of having mentors and of seeing people like myself in positions of authority or leadership. And as a college student, I still remember attending a college career day and hearing from a Vietnamese American prosecutor who basically told me, if someone like me can make it, you can too. This powerful message has remained with me throughout my professional career. Judges have a tremendous impact on the community, not just through the decisions they make in court, but also in the community through education and role model. We are in a position to be role models for young people and to provide mentorship to individuals from all walks of life who aspire to the legal profession. I am Judge Jacqueline Zinn.
My first assignment as a judge was handling child abuse and neglect cases. In one of those first cases, in walked a middle-aged gentleman. His hair was the color of mine, and it was my length, and it was in braids. His skin was a bit darker than mine, and he was wearing a freshly pressed pink button-down shirt. He looked very nervous. I made eye contact with him, welcomed him in my courtroom, and it seemed to me that he relaxed a little bit. In that first hearing, I explained to him that I would need to make an immediate but temporary decision about whether to remove his children from his care. That day, I ended up removing his children and explained to him why. At the end of that hearing, I told him he would come back in 3 weeks for a longer hearing, but I also told him that when he came back, it would be before a different judge because I was going to be out of the office that day. He told me he didn't want another judge. So I explained to him for that to happen, he would need to waive time, and then I gave him an opportunity to speak with his lawyer about that. He ended up waiving time, so I was the one who presided over all his court hearings from that day forward. At the next hearing, I found that there was still enough evidence to keep his children removed. But when we came back for the next hearing after that, which was in 6 months, I found that this father had done what he needed to do to have his children safely returned to him. After I made that ruling, he asked to personally address the court. In those comments, he thanked me for not judging him. I tell you this story today to explain why I think it is important to have a court system that reflects the rich diversity that makes our great state of California. It inspires trust and confidence in those who come before us, including those whom we might rule against. It reassures everybody that courts rule the way we do because we follow the law, and not for any nefarious purposes. In thinking about this case, I realized that I am different in a lot of respects from the father who came before me. I am an East Indian Muslim mother whose family immigrated to California, landing in the United States in the 1950s. But it is our collective diversity and shared experiences as Californians, and indeed Americans, that binds us all together. I am Judge Shama Hakeem Mesiwala.
My paternal grandparents and maternal grandparents immigrated to California during the early 1900s. My 4 Japanese American grandparents, my father, and numerous relatives were incarcerated, along with approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans on the West Coast during World War II. I bring to the bench my history and perspective, not only as a 4th generation Japanese American, but also as someone who has been divorced and remarried, as a former municipal law practitioner, and as a daughter, a sister, a wife, an aunt, a friend, and a neighbor. I bring my background and family history to the bench, which is uniquely my own. Each judge brings their own particular stories, their own values, and their life lessons to the bench. These varied and diverse backgrounds help us all understand and consider issues differently and form a rich and vibrant mosaic of perspectives. Judicial officers make decisions each day that affect people's lives in very important and oftentimes very personal ways. When the public we serve sees people on the bench who look like them and who represent the great diversity that comprises our state, that hopefully helps engender the public's trust in the judiciary, legitimizes judicial decision-making, and helps promote access to justice. Litigants, who are the people that we serve, when they see a diverse bench, they may have more confidence that they will get a fair hearing. This is why diversity, of having a bench reflective of the richness of our state, is critically important. I am Judge Kira Uwada.
Hello, my name is Sonia Cortez, and I am a judge in Yolo Superior Court. I would like to share with you some of the experiences that I bring to the bench. I am an immigrant. I immigrated to the US as a small child. My parents settled in Winters, a small rural town in western Yolo County. I am an English learner. Spanish is my first language. My parents are former farm workers, and it is their tremendous work ethic that has motivated and guided me. I come from a lower socioeconomic background and lived in public housing for the majority of my childhood. And later, I became the legal counsel for that same housing authority where I grew up. Despite their limited education, my parents always emphasized the importance of getting an education. Education has been the path to my success. I am first generation. I am the first in my family to graduate from high school, the first in my family to graduate from college, the first in my family to graduate from law school, and I am the first Latinx judge to serve in Yolo County in its 170-year history. This is who I am and the experiences that I bring to the bench. I am Judge Sonia Cortez.
Hello. The first time I saw a judge, a person of color who looked like me, was about 12 to 13 years ago. And I just remember feeling this sense of being welcomed, of being part of the system. And it made me feel like I could be there, I could achieve that position. For me, seeing a judge in my mind was someone who has been through so many, has had all the experiences, been through everything, and that the government put him, in this case it was a male judge, in a position of power and trust. And so for me, it felt like I could be that individual as well once I'd proven myself. So it felt good to see that. I felt included. Again, in California, we are probably one of the most diverse states in the union. And I feel like that is very important, that our judiciary needs to reflect the population of California, and through our diversity is our strength in California. I am Judge Jerry Bustos Vinluan. Thank you.
I'm a proud American, but I wasn't born in the United States. I was born in Nicaragua, a small Central American country. When I was 15 months old, I came to this country with my family, seeking the safety and promise of America. Although my parents only had grade school educations, they instilled within me deeply rooted values of humility, hard work, and compassion for others. I learned English in the first grade and became a U.S. citizen at the age of 19. I am Judge Baltadano.
I'm Victoria Kolakowski, and in November of 2010, I was elected to the Alameda County Superior Court, becoming the first openly transgender trial court judge in the United States. And one of the reasons I ran for the position was that it was important to me that people see people like me on the bench. Two groups of people I really wanted to see that there were people like me that could do this. One were other transgender people. I have talked to so many young transgender attorneys who've told me that that they found me inspiring, and it's really humbling. But part of this was so I could be a role model for the next generation, so people could see it's possible. And the other group was for the police, the law enforcement, the court folks, prosecutors who normally encounter transgender people either as victims of crimes or as people who are sex workers who they encounter in the criminal system. And I wanted them to see that people like me also are competent professionals, not to belittle the folks who've had to live their lives in the most marginal ways, but to let people know that we are capable of so much more. And so it was important to me that everyone could see that people who are transgender could be good judges. One of the things that made me most happy about my election was the fact that the people of my county in a contested race decided that I was somebody that could be making important decisions relating to their lives, and they trusted someone like me. And that's why I wanted to do this so badly. It's one of the reasons why I love being a judge so much. I'm Judge Victoria Kolakowski of Alameda County.